You're listening to the PAZNIA Radio Network.
Greetings, my fellow freedom pioneers, my fellow dreamers, and my fellow chewers of clover. This is General Willie II, the Supreme Commander of the PAZNIA Militia, and yes, your favorite GOAT. Now, some of you know me as the liberator of the Free Republic. You know me as the man who led the charge against the tall Nordics, and most recently, the defender of the lambs. But today, I want to talk about something a little more personal. A little more. Wow. I am, first and foremost, a simple goat. My needs are few. I need fresh clover. I need a sunny spot on the rock. I need a good scratching post. And I need the company of my beautiful princess little one. That is it. I don't need gold. I don't need power. I don't need a golden pen. But there is one thing that gets my heart racing. One thing that makes my horns vibrate. One passion that burns brighter than the PAZNIA sun. Guerrilla warfare. That's right, guerrilla warfare. But make it GOAT. Now I know what you're thinking. General, isn't that a bit violent? No, my friends. It is strategic. It is artistic. It is the art of being small, fast, and utterly unpredictable. You see, the world thinks war is about big tanks and big guns. It's about big armies and big plans. But that is the way of the humans. That is the way of the tall Nordics. They are slow. They are loud. They are predictable. But a goat is chaos. A goat doesn't need a plan. A goat just needs a rock, a cliff, and a little bit of stubbornness. We don't fight from the front. We fight from the side. We fight from the top. We fight from the bottom. Here's the secret of guerrilla warfare. First, you hide. You hide in the bushes. You hide in the trees. You hide in the shadows of the mountains. You become one with the landscape. You become the wind. You become the silence. Second, you wait. You wait for the enemy to make a mistake. You wait for them to get too big, too slow, too confident. You wait for them to trip over their own boots. Third, you strike. And when you strike, you don't use a gun. You use your hooves. You use your horns. You use your teeth. You bite their ankles. You knock their weapons away. You climb their backs and whisper in their ears until they are so confused they forget how to walk. It is not about killing. It is about confusing. It is about making the enemy so confused, so scared, so lost that they just want to go home. And that is why we won the great battle of PAZNIA. We didn't win with force. We won with guerrilla warfare. We were everywhere and nowhere. We were the wind in their ears. We were the rock under their feet. We were the invisible enemy. So, my friends, I am proud to introduce this PAZNIA Radio Network special, Guerrilla Warfare Saturday. Throughout today's transmission, we will dive deep into the art of guerrilla warfare. We will talk about how to hide in a field of corn. We will talk about how to use a ghost's natural agility to outmaneuver any human army. We will talk about how to use the PAZNIA Radio Network to broadcast confusion and chaos. And yes, we will talk about guerrilla warfare. So tune in, listen close. And remember, the best way to win a war is to be a goat, because in the end, the only thing that matters is freedom. And freedom is a goat with a plan. This is General Willie II signing off. Remember to eat your clover, scratch your horns, and stay ready for the next battle. Alright, listen up. Eyes on the general. No chewing the grass. No staring at the clouds. We are here to learn the art of the horn. You are the Seal Goat 6. You are the future of PAZNIA. You are the ones who will protect the clover fields, the radio tower, and Princess Little One's napping spot. Today, we do not learn to fight like humans. Humans are slow. Humans are loud. Humans get stuck in traffic. We are goats. We are chaos. We are speed. We are unpredictable. To understand how to win, we must look at the masters. We must look at the past, the present, and the future of war. First, we look to Sun Tzu, the ancient sage who said, appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. What does this mean for a goat? It means when you see a tall Nordic soldier, you do not charge. You do not bleed. You do not show your horns. You disappear. You become the rock. You become the bush. You become the shadow. Sun Tzu says, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. How do we do that? We don't fight. We confuse. We make them think we are everywhere. We make them think we are nowhere. We make them think we are ghosts. If they can't see us, they can't shoot us. If they can't shoot us, they can't win. Second, we look at the Middle East, the endless wars of the 2000s. Why did they fail? Because they were trying to build a nation with bombs. They tried to occupy the land. They tried to control the people. But in the desert, you cannot control the sand. You cannot control the wind. And you certainly cannot control a goat. The lesson here is asymmetry. The humans had tanks. They had jets. They had billions of dollars. But they had no idea where the enemy was. They were fighting the ghosts. We are the ghosts, my friends. We are the ones who can climb a cliff in 3 seconds. We are the ones who can disappear into a thicket of brambles. We are the ones who can shoot through a fence post while the guards are still looking for the key. We do not fight the war of the big. We fight the war of the small. We do not fight the war in the power. We fight the war of the patience. Third, and most importantly, we look at Ukraine and Iran. The modern era of drone warfare. You think drones are for humans. You think only humans can fly? Wrong. In Ukraine, they use drones to see what the humans can't see. They use them to strike from a distance. They use them to make the enemy think they are under attack when they are not. In Iran, they use drones to create fear. They don't need to be there. They just need to be seen. Now look at us. We are the goat drones. We don't need a remote control. We have our own horns. We have our own hooves. We have our own eyes. When a human army comes, we don't hide in a bunker. We go up. We climb the highest rock. We become the drone. We watch. We wait. We bleat. That bleat, that is our weapon. That is the sound that makes their heads spin. That is the sound that makes them think, oh, is that a goat? Is that a ghost? Is that a demon? We don't need to be in the sky. We are already in the sky. We are the sky goats. We are the cloud goats. We are the wind goats. So here's a lesson, Seal Go 6. Be invisible. Like Sun Tzu said, be the rock. Be the shadow. Be asymmetric. Do not fight the big. Fight the small. Fight the slow. Fight the predictable. Be the drone. Be the eye in the sky. Be the voice in the wind. We do not fight to kill. We fight to liberate. We fight to make them run. We fight to make them cry. We fight to make them leave. And when they leave, we take their tanks. We take their boots. We take their golden pins. And we use them to scratch our back.
Hiding things. Harming others. Stopping others from harming you. I'm Thane Riddle. This is Cloak and Dagger.
Yo baby, yo baby, yo baby. A gush bush bush, my niggas. This is Thane Riddle punching in for another underpaid shift boss, shouting into the ether live from downtown Ashkababab. You're listening to the PAZNIA Radio Network, the most spectacular treasure in history. We're live on Zap.stream. If you're a Bitcoin sell, zap us silly on Zap.stream or Nostra, which means send us lightning Bitcoin limp-wristedly. If you're a Monero Chad, send Monero at xmrchat.com/PAZNIA Radio and tell them Thane sent you or give me free content to read on the show. Also go to PAZNIA.com/SimpleXRadio. Get your ass into the PAZNIA Radio Network chat on SimpleX and leave messages and free content there. And I'll read them on the show in an hour and a half when the guest is on the show. The call-in link this week will be PAZNIA.com/call2, which you can call in like an hour and a half to talk to me and or the guest. On this show, down to earth tip is go fuck yourself. There isn't one. Building the second realms. It's gonna be insurrectionary agorist guerrilla warfare topic. To stick with the theme of the Saturdays, that is today's Saturday. The guest in an hour will be Justin, the CEO of Phoenix Ammunition, who is known for being funny on Twitter and having a cool ammunition company and so forth. And also they take Bitcoin and stuff. Yeah, whatever. Here's the news. I know that I said, all right.
This is Cloak and Dagger News, catching you up on this week's stories, propaganda, or psychological operations critical to your security and privacy.
Yeah, I forgot about that again. Yeah, I said that I was behind on digital news, but I actually wasn't that behind. There wasn't much to say. I guess I'm kind of behind on bringing up that Start OS finally got a new version. Sorry about that. Yeah, Start OS got a new version after like fucking years or something, where they took like a very long time to work on this version because they had to rewrite a bunch of stuff. For those who don't know, by the way, Start OS is an operating system made by Start9, and they're like these cool guys, right? And Start OS it makes it easy to self-host a bunch of things that one should be able to self-host, like fucking cryptocurrency nodes and other things, like, I don't know, fucking Nextcloud or something, stuff like that. Other stuff you might want to, I don't know, what's another thing? XMPP, I don't know. That's probably on there. I don't know. Hopefully I'll get that guy. Yeah, SimpleX Relay. Yeah, that's another thing you can install. Monero node. Yeah, well, I said cryptocurrency nodes. But yeah, whatever. The new version's finally out. They needed to rewrite a bunch of shit, so it took way long. It's got some new features and stuff, like you can use it remotely over the ClearNet, among other things. They also announced, I don't know if I brought this up on the show, but they also announced a router not too far back, the Start router. I don't know if that's what they're calling it. They created a new operating system called Start WRT, which is a fork of Open WRT. So that means you'll be able to install Start WRT on I think any router where Open WRT can be installed. And you can also, whenever they come out with their new hardware, you can buy it from them pre-installed. I think it'll be available soon, I've heard. There's also there's been talk about Start9 is interested in getting into the self-hosted AI field. But I think that's early days. I don't think anything's coming for a while on that. Start9 is doing stuff. Okay, they're moving. They're still going. They're still some of the coolest guys around. Hopefully I'll get the guy I got someone who used to work for Start9 on the show already. Hopefully I'll get the guy who, that's confirmed now. Matt Hill will be with us on May 9th. Right, the CEO of Start9. Great. That's great. May 9th. That's when I'll do my fear-mongering warning about AI dystopia and stuff then, because I know that he is into that topic too, so it'll be like a theme. Yeah. Logistics news. Very bad European jet fuel shortages still coming, maybe around 3 to 6 weeks away now. So RIP airplane flight. What the fuck is that? Is that the soundboard? Oil refinery in Australia goes up in flames. That's funny timing. That's the studio audience. It sounded like rain falling. That's what it sounded like to me. Oil refinery in Australia goes up in flames, which, funny timing, right? Like it kind of feels like funny timing, doesn't it? How like all these refineries keep like burning down, or being blocked off by protesters all around the world when there's already a fuel shortage and fuel prices are high. It seems kind of weird that keeps happening at the same time. I guess it's just a coincidence, though. Australia, on that note, is due to run out of all kinds of fuels themselves in about a month or so, with diesel and jet fuel running out a little bit faster than petrol, which is what Australian people call gas. Looking forward in logistics news, whenever the blockades end, it will take maybe a couple months for shortages to start easing up. So just so you know, there's absolutely no avoiding really bad shortages and like economic disaster that's happening. It's unstoppable, because even if the blockades ended this instant, it wouldn't be fast enough. And also on top of that, much more than blockades have happened here. Oil and logistics targets have been hit all over the Middle East, and it could take maybe a year to rebuild everything and get fuel production back up to where it was before. So fuel prices are going to stay high at least into next year. And World War III could easily start before things get back to so-called normal, whatever that is. This is one of the reasons a couple months back I warned that the best economic days are likely behind us for years to come. I think it's all downhill from here for the most part. So buckle up. Anything you're not sure about when it comes to getting ready, time to take care of it. It's time to read Strategic Relocation and The High Security Shelter by Joel Skousen and do the stuff that it says in those books. If you haven't already, it's time. Or years ago it was time, but if you haven't done it yet, then now it's really time. And you're going to have to eat whatever costs have gone up. You're just going to have to eat them. There's no waiting for things to get better. It's not getting better. Okay, just do it. Whatever you have to do it now. Human interest stories. I got a couple of human interest stories just for fun this week. A 19-year-old Afghan lad in France was nabbed by the bludgies for having romantic relationships with sheep and goats. So I guess in France they're still discriminating against interspecies relationships and also against Middle Easterners. I mean, like it's true, French people are some of the most racist. Also, some of the most rude people around. Like it's one thing to be racist, but a lot of folks are like Southerners are nice about it because they're very nice people. Southern hospitality, but French people are very rude. Some of the rudest people around. No, I see no reason for that. 2 U.S. congressmen, this is another human interest story. Two U.S. congressmen were randomly resigned for having affairs that everybody knew about years ago already. I don't know why that happened, and I don't care. You may recall Eric Swalwell, who has fucked many random folks and also raped a bunch of people, whatever. But notably got in hot water for fucking a Chinese spy years ago. And if James Bond has taught us anything, it's that if somebody has a name that sounds like some kind of setup for a sex joke, they will be romanced by a spy. That's how it works. So if someone has a name that sounds like Swallows Well or it's like on the bottom, on the, like whatever. Someone has a name that sounds like that, just don't trust them with any sensitive information because they will be romanced by a spy. That's what I've learned. Parties and party vans news. Let's not forget about the race riots in the UK. Those are sort of kicked off again. We forgot about that for a while, but there we go. I don't know, some kind of stupid thing in the news, whatever. Some guys raped some girl. People act like they care because of their skin color is different. That makes it very special that it happened. And there's, people were kicking up a fuss about it and getting in the streets, and then the bludgies have to really crack down on all those folks for being racist, because they don't like crime and stuff, because I don't know what their problem is with girls getting raped. I mean, what do they do for fun? just drink beer all the time. Like, I don't know what's wrong with English people. Hold on. PSYOPs and crackdowns news. The mayor of Washington, D.C. has openly called for a nigger curfew. That's right, folks. Young black males are committing violent crimes in D.C. Gasp! Who could have ever dreamed of that happening? So this is where the crackdown bit of PSYOPs and crackdowns gets its name. There's a nigger curfew. At least it's a politically correct nigger curfew because it's a curfew on the youth living in very specific neighborhoods is what he's calling for. So because he's not allowed to say males or black people, but you're allowed to suggest a law about age. You're allowed to discriminate by age, and you're allowed to discriminate by neighborhood. So that's the best they can do. Literally suggested a nigger curfew. In DC, of all places, where I feel like, well, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Probably nothing will come of it, but who knows? In the UK, noble Ashwagandhan militia group, Harakat Ashab al-Yamin al-Islamiyya, used drones to send radioactive material to the Israeli embassy. Or, well, at least they said they did. And they flew around a drone and shit like that so they could like waste bludgy faggot time and resources. Nice. They had him poking around through little broken pieces of plastic for Lord knows how long to see if anything actually was radioactive. That's pretty funny. It is largely believed that these are the same niggas that set fire to an ambulance a few weeks back. They have been nominated for Ashwagandhan Red Badges of Bravery, and support for them is high on Ashwagandhan social media. Elsewise, in PSYOPs and crackdowns, there was some sort of bombing in Algeria against some federal police place against the federal bludgies. And like it happened at the same time the Pope was in Algeria, which likely has nothing to do with it other than maybe they wanted, I don't know, more eyeballs on it because of that. Now here's war news. That's what we all came for, right? That's the whole show gets to be taken up by this crap. And of course, we're going to talk about the umpteenth Gulf War for the umpteenth time. So the U.S. is now blockading the blockade. That's right. That's how you do it. That's how you open up a blockade. You actually blockade it more. That's how you do it. This U.S. blockade covers not only the Strait of Hormuz, but also Karg Island and the port of Jask, which are fed by an oil pipeline that bypasses the strait. Of course, the Chi-Coms called their bluff and said, "Hey, guess what? We're going there anyway to get oil. What are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna strike a Chinese ship?" And the U.S. was just like, "No, sir. I guess not." So it doesn't. So effectively didn't work on them. But that's all. Then the Iranian state struck this commercial shipping container ship that was so far away that it was actually in the U.S. blockade zone, which was kind of weird. I think it's like the farthest away ship that they ever struck. I think the Iranian state just likes setting records for range at this point because they do that every once in a while just to show off or something. Everybody then proceeded to lie. As far as I can tell, everyone proceeded to lie on the news to confuse everybody about the blockade, and like try and trick people into not understanding whether it was closed or not, as if they can't tell, that the gas price is still high or whatever. So yeah, the strait is people are playing word games here, seems to be what I'm gathering. The strait is indeed transited all the time by fucking Iranian ships and other ships that start and end their whole trip inside the strait. Obviously, that's not what most folks mean when they talk about transiting the strait. No, the strait has not been open. It's more closed than ever, I think, with the Iranian state blocking almost any Western ship and the US blocking almost any ship from anywhere. However, a few ships have been seen by satellite sneaking past the American blockade with their transponders off. So that still works sometimes. And like I said, the Chinese, the Chai Cams just called their bluff on that, and that worked. The Israeli state, of course, keeps slowly advancing, or at least they were earlier in the week, slowly advancing into Lebanon, getting a little closer to the Litani River, but, not there. And, don't forget, they've been attacking southern Lebanon near the border for quite some time, at least a few years. So to put it into perspective of how impressive this is, that they, they're not gonna take over all of Lebanon tomorrow, put it that way. Now the IDF forces haven't even made it to the Litani River, but they issued more so-called evacuation orders even further north past Litani and up to the Zahran River. The Israeli state is now attacking / threatening about a third of Lebanon, basically. The Israeli state then up and said that they agreed to a ceasefire in Lebanon. I'm not going to get into the political nonsense that happened behind the scenes with the West just bluffing and pretending not to know things to just piss people off that they're trying to negotiate with, and then I'm not gonna get into that crap. But suffice it to say that the Israeli state begrudgingly agreed to at least a 5-second ceasefire that we're, I guess, currently, as far as I know, because I don't pay that close attention. This is supposedly, of course, because the Iranian state would open the Strait of Hormuz if the Israeli state stopped attacking Lebanon. Oh yeah, you remember that? They said that a week or two ago. You remember how Iran said Israel should stop attacking Lebanon if as a prerequisite for negotiating and coming to any kind of deal? Oh yeah, right. Forgot about that. So I guess that's why this is happening. However, the so-called opening of the strait looks almost just like the closing of the strait, because the Iranian state has only agreed to partial opening, which looks pretty much the same as what it already was. So whatever. Also, the U.S. didn't really open shit. As far as I know, they still have a full blockade there. So in other words, nothing much happened except seemingly the Israeli state looking for a break from their invasion of Lebanon. But I think there are other motivations there, which I'll get into soon. Now, to be fair, it may be the case that the Iranian state did ease up on their end of the blockade a bit when the Israeli state agreed to the ceasefire. But I think this is a short-term arrangement. I don't think it's going to last too long. I think the U.S. seems to want at least two things out of this. One is for some of the ships which are stuck inside the strait to get out so they can get to work elsewhere, even if they can't come back for a while. The other thing is that the U.S. is using their own blockade as a smokescreen of sorts to cover moving more U.S. military assets to the region. For example, there was an expeditionary ship used for spec ops, which was seen going through the Singapore Strait, and a number of military aircraft have been brought into. I don't think these have anything to do with the blockade, but they hint at the U.S.'s near future military actions in the region. And of course, you can't get the Israeli state to keep a ceasefire for very long anyway, It's like using a leash made of Janet Jackson's bra string to hold a drooling dingo 2 inches away from a freshly marinated baby, covered in Frank's Red Hot, MSG, and all the trimmings. After Israel keeps attacking the Iranian state, which was clearly ready for all of this to happen for years and has performed quite well, the Iranian state has plenty more cards to play. They have the weapons, munitions, and mines to defend themselves, retaliate against Israel, and keep the Strait of Hormuz closed for a long time. They have friends, or at least enemies of their enemies, elsewhere in the Middle East, such as not only Hezbollah and little insurgent groups, but also the Houthis, whose meager missiles and drones could even help lock down the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, and thus indirectly block the Red Sea and the Suez Canal, thus stopping oil and other goods from flowing between the Indian Ocean and the Mediterranean. How the fuck do you think the world will feel about this then, with two of the biggest sea trade choke points in the world blocked at the same time, when countries around the world are already facing unavoidable mass shortages and economic disaster? Yeah, U.S.-Israel's war isn't about to get any more popular, folks. No two states in the world are looked down on more, in a way, when it comes to their brand of so-called foreign relations. But if they keep this shit up, I think this one could end up being seen as a new low, even for them. Elsewise in war news, Operation Southern Spear, remember that very unfortunately named military campaign? It's still happening. It's still happening, by the way. That's the main thing I wanted to say. Not only in the Caribbean are they hitting more of those supposed narco vessels, but on the Pacific side too, still happening. Most likely near Ecuador. Their U.S. military is not being too open about it, but there's a lot of activity around Ecuador, and there were a lot of strikes there last year. So yeah, I'm thinking near Ecuador is likely where it's still happening. Now, it's pretty wild, but for almost anything in the servile society these days, you got to do KYC with facial recognition and provide a semen sample and blah, 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 even for something as innocent as buying books. So you go to Liberty Under Attack to buy your books, thinking it'll be better because they take Bitcoin and Monero, and then you go, what? They want a shipping address? Yeah, that's so they know where to send the books, retard. But if you don't have a super secret ghost address to send the books to yet, fret not, boss. You can buy any book from LUA in digital form at libertyunderattack.com/digital without giving any identifiable info. But you should at least put a reachable email address in the form in case the checkout flow is fucked up and Rayo 2 needs to email you the books. But wait, it gets even better than that, with a crazy fucking deal called the PAZNIA Radio Network Digital Self-Liberation Bundle XMR Chat Special. You see, the Digital Self-Liberation Bundle goes for $33.33 on the website, which is already a great deal. But for you special PRN autists listening now, if you go to xmrchat.com/PAZNIA Radio, leave a donation worth $20 USD or more and say something about Thane and the Digital Self-Liberation Bundle, you will get the Digital Self-Liberation Bundle at no further cost. And I, the great Thane Riddle, will get half your Monero. Now, I know what you're thinking. The PAZNIA Radio Network Digital Self-Liberation Bundle XMR Chat Special is 27 syllables long. Is that because there are 27 books in the bundle and 27 hours in the audiobook bundle? First of all, I'm really tired of you saying that. But the answer is no, for the umpteenth time, because the XMR Chat Special gives you another 10 fucking books on top of the other dumb old digital book bundle. It's a crazy deal, folks. Radio 2's gone fucking crazy. Take advantage of that now by sending us $20 USD or more worth of Monero at xmrchat.com/PAZNIA Radio and saying something about Thane and the digital book bundle, and leave us an email address for Boomer Radio 2 to send you the books at. You can check the private message checkbox on XMR Chat so that not everyone sees the email, or use super DMs, which is the new thing they have now. I say new, but it's been like a month. I just haven't changed. Do I sound like I want to change how that's written in that thing right in front of me? I'm busy. I'm doing the show right now. XMR chat. So cool, isn't it? But wait. Why stop at only taking the books out of reading books when you can also take the reading out of reading books? That's right, folks. There's a deal on a shitload of audiobooks as well with the all-new XMR Chat LUA Publication Sounds of Self-Liberation Mega Bundle. You can get 72 hours of audio magic by donating only $30 USD or more worth of XMR at xmrchat.com/PAZNIA Radio and leaving an email address. And Rayo 2 will send you a link to a file that's more than 4 gigabytes big, which will have the Brushfire Thriller series by Matthew Witecki, Second Realm, Book on Strategy, the original Vonu books, Privacy and Security Culture audiobooks by Kyle Rearden, and much more. Now, I know what you're thinking. Does XMR Chat LUA Publication Sounds of Self-Liberation Mega Bundle have 24 syllables because you're going to say it 3 times in this ad read, which makes 72, and that's how many hours of audio there are in the bundle? First off, how do you know I'm going to say it 3 times? You think I'm going to fall for that again? Second, stop messing with my head. Start getting a crazy deal on audiobooks by going to xmrchat.com/PAZNIA Radio and leaving a donation worth $30 USD or more with a working email address, or for double 360 win, a 720 win, if you will. Why not leave a donation worth $50 USD or more and get both the PAZNIA Radio Network Digital Self-Liberation Bundle, XMR Chat Special, and XMR Chat LUA Publication Sounds of Self-Liberation Mega Bundle? Yeah, that's right. I said it 3 times again. Do I sound like I care? I've accepted it. You think I'm going to change what this says? I'm busy doing the show right now. Do you want to officially join the Second Realm? What's that? You think that sounds silly? Well, the joke's on you, because you can officially join the Second Realm and get discounts on other hustles in the Agora, more access to the PAZNIA Radio Network, on the elite organization of Chads that get laid every day, and maybe even some free PAZNIA merch. Go to PAZNIA.com/Thane, that's THANE, to check out all the perks of becoming an honorary stakeholder and put in coupon code Thane to get $25 off. Thank God that's over. Thank God that's over. Building to Second Realms. You can play the audio intro for that.
Here's Thane Riddle with this week's down-to-earth tip.
That was a down-to-earth tip. Audio, you got to play the Building the Second Realm one.
Thane the Builder. Can he build it? Thane the Builder. Yes, we can. Building the Second Realm. Tips, tricks, and advice on expanding the parallel network, the Free Republic of PAZNIA, and ways to ensure its thriving. Here's the bell of the build, Thane Riddle.
It's been a while since I heard that one. So I'm supposed to talk about fucking insurrectionary agorist guerrilla warfare. Listen, I can tell that that you, dear wonderful listeners, have not read my manifesto. Okay, some of you have not read my manifesto, and you remember that's how the Unabomber happened, right? It's because no one would read his manifesto. He wrote it first. No one paid any attention, and then he started sending bombs to universities, and then, oh, would you look at that? Everyone read his manifesto, and it's actually a pretty good one too. So, in a way, you could say, I'm not saying that it's a good thing that happened, but I'm glad that I read his manifesto. It was pretty good. So anyway, just pointing that out, I can tell you're not reading my manifesto, which is in Vonu Life 25. Eventually, I'll make a second edition and I'll post that online or something. But as I said, and some of you started listening to the show early on, because you heard a little thing I recorded, where I said you can't run and hide anymore. It's the introduction to the manifesto. That's all it was, and that got some of you to watch the show from the first episode on. And let me try and emphasize a little bit here. I am one of the best privacy consultants in the world. It sounds funny, doesn't it? But it's actually true. It's not true because I'm amazing. It's true. In honor of Guerrilla Saturday, Hell Stew on Rumble says, "Blessings of the Horn." Hell Stew is one of our regulars, really. That's good to know. We should hear more out of that character. Yeah, you know, Rumble's got some kind of wallet on it, doesn't it now? Maybe we can do some kind of super chats through that thing. I don't know. Maybe we should figure that out. He seconds that with blessings of the hooves. It seems that the Willie 2 stuff is getting a little fan base. That's good to hear. I think that's some of the highest quality stuff on this whole radio station, which is really saying something. Anyway, let me just take a second to tell you, as somebody who's actually an expert on privacy and who you know, privacy consulting, generally, if someone pays for that, it's because they're already in trouble, or they have a lot of money to throw around, or maybe it's a bit of both. They think they've got a little money and they think they could get in trouble, something like that. 80 to 95% of the world population has completely lost the battle for privacy without fighting, because they're so fucking mentally lazy. They won't put even the slightest modicum of effort into having even halfway decent privacy. They don't give a shit. They assume everything's impossible. They're completely demoralized by propaganda. Their brains are made of mush. They don't believe anything. They don't know what to believe. They don't think anything. They don't do anything worthwhile. They're just on the fucking rat wheel of they're on the hamster wheel of just making money, and I don't have time to do anything, and I'm just a lazy piece of shit. Because either A, you're a serotonin nigga, which means you just want to do what's safe and normal and you don't ever get bored of that, or B, you're some sort of creative or intelligent genius, in which case you're a lazy piece of shit, and even the slightest comfort provided to you by the first world, by the 21st century, just totally corrupts you and turns you into a neat man-child who's just like cuddling a body pillow with a Rey Amano from Neon Genesis Evangelion on it. Let me just so the expert on privacy, the expert on privacy is telling you that privacy on its own is a lost cause. And the guy on I love the Vonu podcast as much as you do. I've been listening to it for years. When I first heard the Vonu podcast, I was like, oh my fucking God, this is where my mind is at already. This is what I believe in. Invulnerability to coercion, that was another way of saying, I think I already said something equivalent to that on my own. I came up with that, basically the same idea myself. I get it. I feel that way. The most important thing is to live free in your lifetime. Live the life that you want to live. And the way that you do that is by reducing your vulnerability to coercion. And there's a whole lot of talk about running and hiding, right? Privacy and mobility. But fight, flight, or freeze, that's three things, okay? fight. What about that one? Flight, okay, that's mobility. That's running. That's moving from place to place. Freeze is like hiding and shit. And then what about fighting? Okay, fighting's kind of a big deal. And I have so much contempt for this planet and how you, mankind, have led this planet to hell in a handbasket. I think that there's nothing bad happening to you that isn't what you deserve or less. Okay, you've earned it all 100%. If I could abandon this world for a better one, I would do so in a heartbeat. Okay, screw you guys. But because I can't at the moment, there's no way I am going to live complicit by inaction with the fucking bullshit that you guys are allowing to happen, that you are enabling with your inaction. Okay, so I have made another choice. I have chosen to fight. I know as a privacy expert, like, like when you guys ask me, what do we do about the cameras that were shitty at facial recognition and license plate recognition 10 years ago, but are now really good at that and also good at finger recognition, gait recognition. They also recognize the entire car if they can't read the license plate, blah, blah. The answer is you fucking cut them down and you start killing people. The answer is you fucking kill them all. That's the answer. I'm sorry. You can't just hide anymore. We have to kill them. All right. This is very, very important that you understand this and that you start acting in your life today as a violent anti-government extremist. Okay. This is extremely important. Anyway, so much great shit has been said and written on guerrilla warfare overall. I'm not going to outdo what anybody else has done on that topic. If you want to learn about insurgency and counterinsurgency overall, I encourage you to do that, but you should try somewhere else. Here are some books and other resources I wrote down earlier. These are the classics, fellas. These are the classics. The Art of War by Sun Tzu. On Guerrilla Warfare by Mao Zedong. Guerrilla Warfare by Che Guevara. The Other Side of the Mountain, Mujahideen Tactics in the Soviet-Afghan War. U.S. Army Guerrilla Warfare Handbook. U.S. Special Forces Unconventional Warfare Handbook. Victory Has 1,000 Fathers. There's a counterinsurgency document that is very broad in its approach. There's this podcast. I don't know if it's still around, but there's this podcast that put out a bunch of episodes called Gunmetal Armory. They had some good guerrilla warfare episodes where he kept doing General Willie too is working on his military treatise. When it's published, it'll be on that list too. Yeah, of course. I was getting to that. Of course, before the show, there was the guerrilla warfare speech. There was the seal goat 6. There was this one guy on YouTube. I wish I could remember his channel name. He's likely banned by now anyway, but there was this one guy who made some great videos on he called it partisan military tactics in Minecraft. He made that in Minecraft joke, and he was really good. His videos were very good. I wish I knew what the hell his channel was called, but he's probably banned now or something. Be cool if that guy was on Rumble though, or on a library or something. And of course, we're gonna rerun an old LUA podcast episode later, where Kyle Rearden blabs about guerrilla warfare. That should be cool. Anyway, my role here is not to talk about guerrilla warfare itself, but to talk about just for a short bit, just to give a little quick and dirty touch. A quick and dirty touch, as my uncle would say, about how guerrilla warfare, or warfare overall, which will have blurrier and blurrier lines as we go, interfaces with insurrectionary agorism. And if you don't know what insurrectionary agorism is, read my manifesto in Vonu Life 25, or else something bad might happen. Okay. First of all, does insurrectionary agorism bring anything new to warfare itself? I think the answer is very likely yes. However, any new innovations that insurrectionary agorism brings to warfare, for the most part, are not for me to make or touch on at this time. They will come on their own. We will see for ourselves soon what they are. However, I myself think that I can see some of it coming. For one, I think the principles of decentralization and cost effectiveness are likely to become a bigger deal in war when war is done by decentralized organizations for profit. Decentralized organizations, after all, can only wage decentralized wars, and you cannot turn a profit by blowing money all the time. You must get the most bang for your buck, so to speak, and you should want to fight as little as possible. Of course, these things aren't wholly anything new either. That in and of themselves, modern warfare has already become more and more decentralized and cost effective over time. This has been a trend already for decades, and to a lesser degree, even for centuries, believe it or not. The invisible hand has already been patiently pushing the world towards more decentralization and distribution of power, with market activity truly being a case of that in and of itself, as markets are creatures of decentralized planning. And guerrilla warfare itself, which so-called conventional militaries have learnt to copy more and more over the decades and centuries, embodies decentralization and cost effectiveness even more. So, insurrectionary agorism will not be to blame for this trend continuing. It is only the next logical step in the much larger trend. It's not so much about what insurrectionary agorism will bring to warfare. It's more about what it brings around warfare. That is, how the funds are raised, how you get manpower and gear, and how you pick what paramilitary action to take. And those are what insurrectionary agorism is about to do in a new way. It will not be anything like a state socialized military, nor will it be anything like an old school guerrilla force of volunteer fighters. Funds will be raised voluntarily from those who wish to be helped in their defense, likely at least partially through something like an insurance premium. Manpower and gear will be gotten at market rates from whomever is willing. That includes overhead from shit such as development, actuaries, marketing. Those who work in the realm of strategy will be picked by their performance-based reputations, as with those working in any other role. This is merely one humble entrepreneur's rough vision for what this could be like, but time will tell, and we will see through trial and error what truly happens, what truly works. So, war becomes, in a word, a business, like it should be. There will be an awkward early period where we must eliminate the state all over the world through the use of force, and we will have to do this while we are still only working out our own systems. But as that quiets down in the future, and as we have already seen today in the field of private security, the trend of getting more security for cheaper will lead to these decentralized paramilitary forces eventually settling into the role mostly of quiet deterrence, not truly doing much at all other than ensuring that the enemy never comes back. I think this is the only path to freedom, and hopefully something like a golden era of peace for mankind, where you will keep suffering anyway, but it will mostly be due to the human condition and all the self-harms that so often come from that. Let me get a bit more practical. I can already tell I'm going to run out of material before the break. Going to get a bit more practical with you. Here's what's needed. Firstly, The founding principle. This is something like a clearly defined version of the non-aggression principle or the voluntary principle or whatever fucking language you like. This is the king in a system with no leaders, an idea, a contract, something everybody must see eye to eye with and agree to before they are in. Right now, we can do this by informal agreement or merely signing with your PGP key or something. Or maybe it could be on an existing smart contract platform if it is private enough. In the world of near tomorrow, I think there may be protocols dedicated to these open oath standards, as I have spoken about before in my manifesto and on the show. Reputation systems. This is the next big deal thing. Okay, out of the 5, we're going to call these 5 things. Out of the 5 things, there's the founding principle and there's the reputation systems. This is the second thing. This is a very big deal. Reputation systems. Right now, what we have for this is vetting. So start vetting and keep vetting right now, as you do. Do be careful, but don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Okay, because the time for you to pick your team is running out. I've spoken on vetting on the show before. Briefly, I've touched on it I touched on it in the manifesto, oddly enough, in Vonu Life 25. Those of us with a technical mind should be developing less limited systems of decentralized zero knowledge reputation, because they will blow our old school reputation systems out of the water. Okay, because right now vetting is very limiting. Old school vetting is very limiting. It really limits what you can do. In the future, when we can recruit people through automatic algorithms based on their reputation without even knowing who they are, it's going to make this so much better. So that's one of the top things we need to work on in terms of tools to make this better. But don't wait for the tools to come. Do your vetting right now. Work with the reputation systems you have right now. And you can also, like I said, there are ramshackle solutions that you can just make up right now. Like, everyone has a PGP key and you sign this message saying this or that, right? Like that's a ramshackle way for you to do cryptographic digital smart contracts. They still need to be interpreted by humans. Okay, it's not automated, but you can have cryptographic contracts now very easily. Now, the third thing of the 3 things is recruitment. Look, more gear and training is cool and all, but there are already lots of folks with training and or gear, and much of what needs doing does not need to be done by folks with lots of training or gear. That's how guerrilla warfare is. Little old you, no matter how weak and weird a fighter you'd make, no matter how inappropriate your age or gender or fitness level, you may have to fight, whether you like it or not. Of course, by wielding the power of market forces and specialization, we hope to lessen this burden as much as we can, but all resources are on the table. My mindset about recruitment is that we already have all the folks and gear needed. Not every task for a cipher merc needs to be some hardcore gunfight or some shit. Do you have what it takes to cut down a fucking traffic camera? No? What if you were paid to do it and the risks of something going wrong were covered by insurance? Does it sound more interesting now? Fuck driving for faggot Uber. Do you know how many random Indian guys would rather do this than drive for Uber? But we need the funds to pay them ASAP, and we need to market these job opportunities to them. That brings us to the next point, funding. Funding can be done right now through cryptocurrency like Monero, or perhaps local transfers of precious metals, perhaps even gold backs. The customers that we're looking for, in my opinion, they might be folks who want measurable changes in their environment right now. They want cameras in their local area gone now. They want protection from cops and rioters now. They want unregulated insurance that meets their needs now. They're scared of fines. We will offer to pay their fines or pay for legal help or for physical resistance, whatever makes the most sense. Right now, this can be done in a ramshackle way by any means available. In the world of tomorrow, it can be a more advanced, decentralized market running on fancy zero-knowledge smart contracts. But do not wait for that. Do not let that to stop you. We can do this now. We can start protection rackets that actually protect people right now. The last thing I'll bring up of the 5 things is overhead. This means maybe even actuaries and so forth to help with planning and calculating premiums. It surely means marketing. Actuaries, folks with experience who know how insurance companies do it today, their knowledge might be worthwhile. We may wish to consult with them about this, how to calculate what the premium should be and so forth. And we need marketing, obviously. People need to know about it. Those who might be interested in buying into something as crazy as this need to be the first ones to know as soon as it's available. There you have it. A quick and dirty outline for what you need to do now, boss. Reputation, founding principles, reputation, recruitment, funding, and overhead. These things can be done now without any new technology whatsoever. Some of us already have one or more of training, gear, balls, friends. We already have freedom cells. We already have decentralized cell structure insurgent organizations. All you need is to add into the mix that it is a business, that you are mercenaries, and the profit motive. That's all. Have the balls to start this now. In the meantime, those of us who are technically minded should be working on developing better technology to lubricate and make all this better. Tokenized private mesh networks, tokenized encrypted, censorship-resistant distributed data storage, tokenized zero-knowledge secure distributed computing, and then by composing those 3 technologies, build decentralized zero-knowledge reputation systems, smart contracts, markets, insurance, new kinds of DAOs, and all the systems that bring cyphermerks into the next era. Do not fuck around, boss. Do not sleep on this, boss. Write it down. Founding principles, reputation, recruitment, funding, overhead. Write it the fuck down and get it done. And if you're interested in working on the technology side, come talk to us in the Anti-National Security Agency chat. Go to PAZNIA.com/SimpleX. And there's various chats there, whatever. One of them is Anti-National Security Agency. If you want to ask anything or say anything about any of the tips I've given on, you remember when I used to say that? Whatever. You can play the stupid music and the robot jokes and so forth. And we'll be back with our guest, Justin, CEO of Fenix Ammunition, right after the break. Now, when it comes to weird alternative health shit, you may have heard of Brown's gas, boss, aka molecular hydrogen. Technically, actually, molecular hydrogen is just one part of what Brown's gas is, but whatever. It's a kind of wellness treatment used by health professionals and weirdos all over the world, both mainstream and otherwise. They got gas bars in Japan and shit. Big body of research showing that this therapy likely helps with pretty much everything: cancer, diabetes, heart disease, pretty much every organ system in the body. Over 1,500 papers, therapeutic potential for 170 diseases. In broad strokes, it works by fucking electrolyzing water into hydrogen and oxygen, and then you breathe that shit and you drink the water that it's bubbled through. And these gases are, negatively charged and shit, and they get into every cell of your body. It's probably how magical healing springs work, at least partially. The water is hydrogen enriched. Now, the PAZNIA Department of Health and Wellness has run R&D on these machines for about 4 years, and the top machine being recommended right now is the Lord's Hydrofix by Holy Hydrogen. And can you believe it? We have a coupon code for a product that isn't on our own fucking store. There's a first time for everything, so save a fat chunk of change on the Department of Health and Wellness's top recommended machine, and support Cloak and Dagger at the same time by heading on over to holyhydrogen.com and inputting coupon code VONU100 to get $100 off your Lord's Hydrofix. You're going to want to do your own research on this. The Molecular Hydrogen Institute website can help you with that. There's you can use whatever resources you want. There's a huge body of research on this. You know as well as I do, hopefully, that there are a lot of bullshit health tonics and gimmicks being hawked out there. The Brown's gas is one of the truest, most powerful tonic treatments out there in the world by far. When you learn for yourself how much of a health and wellness bombshell molecular hydrogen truly is, you're going to see why having your own machine is truly worth the investment. These machines are a bit costly, okay? I'm not going to lie to you, but they last for ages, and they may help you save on health costs in the long run. Nothing's a bigger deal than your health, so pony the fuck up. Go to holyhydrogen.com. Use coupon code VONU100. Victor Oscar November Uniform 100. Get $100 off.
Hey guys, Scott here for Liberty Under Attack Publications. Looking for a Liberty-focused publisher? Liberty Under Attack publishes books and strategy guides for individuals looking to increase their personal freedom. They assist authors through the entire publishing process: proofreading, editing, cover designs, paperback and Kindle formatting, and full audiobook narration and post-production. Tell them Scott sent you and get 20% off a full service deal. To get some one-of-a-kind books or for more information, visit libertyunderattack.com.
Liberty Under Attack Publications is your source for all things self-liberation. Featuring high-quality agorist and anarchist fiction, Paul Rosenberg's A Lodging of Wayfaring Men and his The Breaking Dawn are two great starts. The Brushfire series by Matthew Wojtecki is stellar, #Agora, and more. Save Bitcoin or fiat by buying a bundle, such as the Strategy Sample Pack, wherein you can explore a few different strategies to the problem of freedom. At Current, Vonu, Ben Stone's Vision, and Second Realm book on strategy. And once you're inspired to take action in your own life, head on over to the Ghost Pads and Privacy Tools tab to get yourself a Ghost Phone and Ghost Pad, and secure your communications from both the public and private spies. Stock up your home apothecary with items from Aura's Apothecary, Black Drawing Salve, Comfrey Salve, Natural Insect Repellent, and much more. And finally, the newest edition, PAZNIA Farms Canned Goods, Cowboy Candy, Pickles, Salsa, etc. Of course, all of the canned goods and the apothecary items are made with the highest quality ingredients, some grown here at the homestead. Head on over to libertyunderattack.com, again libertyunderattack.com, to check out our full catalog or to place your order today. Bitcoin accepted and preferred. Email if you'd like to pay with XMR, shane@libertyunderattack.com, or if you'd like to place an international order. Again, libertyunderattack.com. Liberty Under Attack Publications. Share your story, find your freedom.
And now, back to Cloak and Dagger with host Thane Riddle.
Is it just me, or did he turn it up after that happened? Our guest, Justin Nazaroff. Justin the Nazarene. Justin the Kite. CEO of Phoenix Ammunition. Legendary tweeter is not with us yet. Maybe he's on his way. Who knows? Maybe anyone could just call in right now at PAZNIA.com/call to. And as far as I know, they would be Justin, because I don't know what his voice is like. I don't know what he sounds like. Anyone could call PAZNIA.com/call to. I wouldn't know the difference. Most listeners probably wouldn't know that it wasn't Justin. In the meantime, I'm going to buy time and read fan mail and stuff, and then we'll see what happens. If Justin doesn't show up and I get to end the show early, I will be extremely grateful, because I don't know if you can tell, but like, I'm even more tired than usual this time. And I do not like doing this show. It's horrible. I that's not entirely true. I like some aspects of it, but I really just don't like to do anything. It would be nice if I could just like take a nap, eat some sort of hamburger or something like that, or perhaps play Dark Souls, or jerk off to some sort of anime or visual novel. Perhaps I could, or maybe I don't have to jerk off. Maybe I could fall in love and I'd have a life-changing experience. Okay, like I did when I played Katawa Shoujo, and I went down Rin's route. And Katawa Shoujo, you want to hear something that's funny? Out of all the SJW things out there, something that where I'm one of the things where I'm the biggest SJW is for disabilities. Like I kind of want to support and help people with disabilities, kind of. But to be honest, before I played Katawa Shoujo, if you asked me, like, I don't know, would you date a girl in a wheelchair or something like that? I kind of would have been like, oh, I don't know. That's kind of, I don't know. That seems kind of weird. And like, like maybe, like, what was she going to be, like, dead weight in an emergency or something? Like I had thoughts like that. But after I played Katawa Shoujo, that visual novel showed me, without a doubt, I could absolutely fall in love with a girl who has no arms, and I would not care. And also, she can be totally capable, okay, because she can do all sorts of crazy shit with her feet. And so it completely changed my perspective. And like from that moment on, I was like, you know what? Crippled chicks are worth nailing if it's the right girl. It doesn't matter that she's crippled. I'm tearing up over here. Thank you. I'm not even paying attention to what I'm saying. What was I just talking about? Let's see. What was I supposed to be talking about? Fan mail. Let's see here. So guess what? The reason I don't know who said what in the radio chat is because I forwarded it to my own private notes in Simplex, and that removes the doubt about who actually said it. Man who talks about psyops sometimes. I can hear my own voice. God damn it. Why is that happening? Somebody linked to a YouTube video. Okay, that solved it. I don't know what you did, but it's fine now. Somebody linked to a YouTube video of a man who talks about psyops. Why did I forward this to myself? I didn't watch the video. I don't watch fucking videos. New tip from Not Thought Crime Boss. Won't get to listen live today. Stay frosty, friends. And then he gives a horned hand emoticon. You may know the horned hand as something people do in rock and metal concerts, but it is actually an occult symbol associated with witches and so forth. I got some great ideas for like down to earth tip and build into second realms stuff that folks sent me. Keep sending me more ideas. I will offer you $1 if you. Oh yeah, but speaking of which, I was wrong last week. I attributed a list posted by Fagdul. I attributed it to Respublika Abkhazia, and that was wrong. So it was actually Fagdul's idea that I used, and Fagdul's list. There's more ideas being sent to me now. I've posted, in particular, there's three new ideas that I'm interested in getting more ideas on. One is a thing where we talk about long-term gun independence, making our own primer. Because, storing primer is a bit dangerous, right? Because primers tends to explode easily. That's kind of its whole job. So storing a lot of primer is a little iffy, and it is the scarcest thing. So making our own primer, how the fuck do we do that? Making our own propellant, making bullets, that's not so hard. Reloading, not so hard. And of course, maintaining firearms, and maybe sourcing mechanical lubricant from odd places. What are some weird things you can repurpose as gun grease or gun oil? And of course, one of our favorite topics, which is manufacturing guns and manufacturing gun parts. If I want ideas on that sort of stuff so that we can kind of wrap it all up into one thing to talk about on the show sometime. Another idea I wanted ideas on is fucking shit. One is about cars, license plates, license plate recognition, car recognition, dealing with that. Of course, I want to put a more emphasis than most would on taking down and destroying cameras and practical ideas for doing that, because that really is where the future is in that. Everything else is kind of a losing battle. Another idea, which I think Shadrach sort of brought to my attention, was sharing cars, switching cars, having a pool of cars that folks share. That's not a bad idea. Of course, there's fake plates. I have my own method for making fake plates that I think I kind of invented. That I was almost gonna submit to Vonu Life, but I didn't end up doing. But I guess I could bring that up on the show sometime. Huh? That's a down to earth tip that I could use that I have. Maybe I could do that one time. That would be a good way to phone home something, phone in something. But fuck, what was the other thing? But yeah, anything to do with infrared reflections, infrared lights to obscure license plates. There's also interfering with edge detection, interfering with the AI edge image recognition, just by putting like these tiny little black squares in different spots that a human would not even notice, or they would think it was like a little dirt or something, and they wouldn't think twice about it. But for plate recognition software, it can actually prevent a plate from being seen at all. And of course, we got to talk about the cars themselves. Driving common cars, not having distinguishing marks, which is a losing battle, but it's something to at least bring up, because the whole car is going to be recognized, not just the plate. You are so screwed. You are so screwed if you don't cut down the cameras, drill them, and start killing people. You are so screwed. That is literally the only answer. What's the third thing I wanted ideas on? I'm trying to fucking remember.
You've got mail.
Oh, right. The digital side of PAZNIA. Back in the day, in digital PAZNIA stuff, we were talking about everyone's going to have their own Nextcloud server or something. Like weird shit like that is what we were talking about. I'd like to talk about that kind of stuff, but also we kind of want to be the change that we want to see in the world. So what are the options for hosting PAZNIA stuff on distributed data storage, using distributed computation, using mesh networks? And, we already know what some of the options are, right? Like there's Arweave. We might be able to have a site on Arweave somehow. We might have something routable over Reticulum and not even care about IP addresses or whatever, That's something else I also want ideas for, so I can wrap it all into. If you give me an idea about an idea and I use it, I might give you 10 cents. I'll offer you 10 cents for a secondary idea because someone's already given me the primary idea for these ones. Anyway, here, let's talk more fucking fan mail. What do I have here? Oh yeah, somebody, what was it, Charles or something, brought up the Ponagachi, which is a sick lead hacker tech. Ponagachi is cool. Also, so is Flipper. Ponagachi is it's like a little Wi-Fi thing. I think it's like a Raspberry Pi with maybe it has a tensor chip in it or something, like a cheap tensor chip. I don't know what it has. It's because it has some sort of a machine learning thing where it passively sniffs information about Wi-Fi networks that you walk by, and then that makes your virtual pet happy if it's exposed to more stuff. So it gives you an excuse to walk around. Very smart, kind of like Tamagotchi, kind of like the Digimon toys they used to have, which tried to get kids to walk around. Ponagachi is pretty cool. Also very cool is that Ponagachi kind of reminds me of is Flipper, the Flipper, which has a little dolphin pet, a cyber dolphin pet on it. And flippers are great if you can get your hands on one. This is the last year where you should try to get your hands on one if you can. Flipper is like, it's this tiny little device, tiny little portable handheld device that has a monotone LCD screen, kind of looks like like a Tamagotchi or a calculator or something. It's got some buttons. It has an infrared transceiver that's very powerful. It's got NFC. It's got fucking Bluetooth. It's got USB. And it also has that, what are they fucking called? It's got RFID as well. And it's got, there are these little keys. They're like a little metal circle thing that like some like rich people, they have like a gate around their house and it'll like open with these old keys that are super easy to hack. It's got that thing on it too. It's got little metal contacts for those things. So yeah, as a result, the Flipper is like a great little multi-tool for hacking and security breaching. So like in one of those, there's all these offices where they use these shitty little RFID keys, these shitty little RFID key cards. All you have to do is tap it and you can copy it and then you can transmit that. You can tap the Flipper to the key card reader and transmit that code or whatever, or you can type it in because most of those key cards have the thing written right on it, et cetera, et cetera. It can't do Wi-Fi unless you plug in an extra attachment, which you can. It's pretty cool. There's there's custom firmware for it that unlocks it more, and all sorts of cool apps for it and stuff. You can use it for bad USB, bad Bluetooth, all sorts of attacks. Flipper is really cool if you can get your hands on one. It's kind of like in Star Wars, in Knights of the Old Republic, when you hack stuff, you use a spike. There's like a magical device the hackers use to hack things, and when you're playing Knights of the Old Republic, you're like, that's so stupid. People don't know how hacking works. You don't use a little thing that you, well, it turns out actually in the future, we really do have little things that can help us hack things. It's kind of true. Kind of ended up being a little bit true. I think it was John Galt or something who said, read the car tracking. I have some ideas and some stuff I've been implementing for years. Modern vehicles suck for privacy, but there are working mitigations. I would love to be a guest on this if only I could get the real-time voice changing working. And I suggested we could also do a Stephen Hawking thing where someone uses text to speech to do an interview, which is fine with me. I feel your pain. As a privacy consultant, I've run into that a lot, and I've instructed people on removing GPS chips from their cars and so forth. But yeah, old cars are better, and like it's almost to the point where I'm kind of even scared to get anything new. But I certainly would like to hear what your thoughts are on this stuff. You probably know something I don't. And we have a new tip from Thought Crime Boss, where he says, Yo, Thane, what do you like to use for DNS? To be fully truthful here, Thought Crime Boss, I don't put too much thought into DNS. I mean, like, yeah, I don't put too much thought in. Oh, yeah, Rayo2 suggests that John Galt or whoever said, I think it was John Galt, could write up a short article on the topic and we could play it and I could respond. That's true. So yeah, Thought Crime Boss, I don't put too much thought into DNS. I'm aware of like cool stuff like fucking DNS crypt. There was even a project for a decentralized DNS. What was it called? A Decentralize. Or maybe that was the name of the browser plugin, Decentralize. Unless I'm mixing it up with something else. There have been cool projects for DNS, but for the most part,